Hey friends, this is Derrick Broze with the Conscious Resistance Network, and today we are going to talk about facial recognition technology surveillance and why it poses such a big danger. This is something we've focused on for a while, and we've got new evidence, new reports on this. But before we do that, I want to remind you guys to bookmark theconsciousresistance.com to get all of our latest content, our latest articles, videos, vlogs. You can check out conscious music. You can download my books or buy them for free. You can check out our shirts if you want to support us. You can also, of course, join us on Minds. If you're watching this on Minds first, it is because you are participating, you are enjoying our Divest from Facebook campaign that has been taking place all of the month of May, where we are putting out exclusive reports on Minds first. Also, if you want to get some Kratom, get a free ounce of Kratom, find out more about Kratom, and support us, click this link from our partners, My Brave Botanicals. And as I said, follow us on the Conscious Resistance Network on Minds.com. So this is coming from Georgetown Law Center on Privacy and Technology. America under watch, face surveillance in the United States. Now, this is a really important report that I think each of you should check out. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I am going to give you the gist of it, and then we're going to cover a couple of related stories. But I've already previously talked about in my other videos, is it too late to stop facial recognition technology? Is it too late? Just trying to get that question out there, because I think most people are not really giving it much thought. We already are in the situation here in the United States where by 2021, you're going to be subject to some form of biometrics, mostly facial recognition technology, in order to be able to fly. As I said just a couple months ago, is it too late to stop facial recognition technology? I asked John Mackey of Whole Foods about Amazon's facial recognition program once Whole Foods partnered with Amazon. And I said, what will you do when they come for your face? This is just, it's been an important topic for a while now, and this report does a good job, I hope, of outlining it. It came out on May 16th. I haven't seen any mainstream coverage of it, so more than likely most people will not even know it exists. But that's what I'm here for. So it starts out by discussing the system in China, and it says that police are purportedly able to locate and identify anyone who shows their face in public in a matter of minutes. They can trace where you have been over the past week. If you are a citizen, they can match your face with your car, match you with your relatives and people you're in touch with and know that you frequently meet with. And says this is made a reality by real-time face surveillance. Thanks to facial recognition technology, authorities are able to conduct biometric surveillance, pick you out from a crowd, identify you, trace your movements across a city with a network of cameras capturing your face, all in secret. No longer is video surveillance limited to recording what happens. It may now identify who is where, doing what, at any point in time. And of course, some people think this is not taking place in the United States, but in this report, they point out that this has already started in Detroit and Chicago, and they also say that in New York City, Orlando, and DC, facial recognition surveillance is on the horizon. I would say Houston as well. And for the rest of the country, there are no practical restrictions against the deployment of facial recognition surveillance on the federal, state, or local level. So they go on to describe how it affects free speech, privacy, and bias, and then they get into the Detroit and Chicago examples specifically. So we're going to talk about this. Free speech, when used on public gatherings, facial recognition surveillance may have a chilling effect on our First Amendment rights to unabridged free speech and peaceful assembly. And basically, according to the International Justice and Public Safety Network Privacy Impact Assessment from June 2011 on a report on the utilization of facial recognition technology, the police have already recognized that this could have a chilling effect. In that report, they wrote, quote, "The public could consider the use of facial recognition in the field as a form of surveillance." Well, no shit. The mere possibility of surveillance has the potential to make people feel extremely uncomfortable, cause people to alter their behavior, and lead to self-censorship and inhibition. And that's, I think, fairly clear that, as an activist and as a journalist, I do realize that some people just don't care about their privacy one way or the other. But I think most of us do and recognize the value of that and how past tyrannical regimes throughout history have taken away privacy however they could. Now we have digital tools to do that. And it's more dangerous, I think, than ever. Privacy. Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts wrote for the majority in Carpenter versus United States, "A person does not surrender all Fourth Amendment protection by venturing into the public sphere." So the Supreme Court has recognized this, and this was related to cell phone surveillance, which was able to catalog every single movement of someone across time, unconstitutionally violating society's expectation about what law enforcement can and should be able to do. And facial recognition technology will go even further with having this type of tracking, locating where someone is and has been by the location of the camera that captures the person's face. If it's mounted on churches, health clinics, community centers, and schools, this can risk revealing a person's familial, political, professional, religious, and sexual associations. Bias. The risk of face surveillance are likely to be borne disproportionately by communities of color. African Americans are simultaneously more likely to be enrolled in facial recognition databases and the targets of police surveillance. Compounding this, some studies have shown that face recognition performs differently depending on the age, gender, and the race of the person being searched. And I've seen this as well and reported in other places where they have the programs are mismatching people's faces. In fact, you can go out there and just look at it. You'll see it. These systems are not perfect by any means. Maybe they're claiming they're going to get that way, but as they stand, as they're rolling out, they're definitely not, anything close to it. So in Detroit, they have real-time facial recognition systems, and this is fed to a 24-hour real-time crime center, and these centers are starting to pop up in more major cities. They're in Houston, I know, and they have cameras like the ones you can see here on Google Maps that are outside of the businesses, facing the door, and it's supposed to be for protection because there's so much crime in Detroit. They need to protect people and prevent, crimes from taking place. And right here you can see the sign that says Green Light Partner. In the city of Detroit, their program is called the Green Light Program, the Green Light Partner Program. And this means that businesses, it's voluntary at the moment, Project Greenlight gives the businesses the opportunity to install cameras and then give the police the access to those cameras. So the police are growing a panopticon surveillance grid around different businesses, and they're telling businesses, well, you can stay safe this way, prevent criminals, and this is a pregnancy center that we're looking at right here. So again, as the report said, this would obviously be able to tell people something about you. If you've gone to get an abortion, if you have STDs, if you are practice a certain religion, or if you're having an affair, all kinds of things. And now I'm not saying any of those actions are good one way or the other, but it's still your personal private business. So as part of the Project Greenlight, they are giving people surveillance tools and telling them that this will help catch criminals. And these tools apparently are outfitted with facial recognition technology, even though the Detroit police has remained quiet about it. It says in July of 2017, as part of a 3-year contract with vendor DataWorks Plus totaling $1 million, under the contract, Detroit licensed DataWorks Plus FaceWatch Plus real-time video surveillance software, a system that provides continuous screening and monitoring of live video streams. This system is designed to operate on no less than 100 concurrent video feeds if it meets the Detroit City's 2015 proposal to build such a system. And these feeds come from cameras installed as part of the Project Greenlight, which, as I said, is a public-private partnership that was launched in 2016, and it continues to grow. As of April 2019, more than 500 businesses, churches, and apartments and other locations were enrolled in Project Greenlight. Schools began to be added in April of 2018, and in late 2018, the Detroit Police Department was in discussion with the Detroit Housing Commission to expand the program to public housing locations. And Detroit's mayor has also considered making participation mandatory for businesses open later than 10 p.m. I guarantee you this will eventually be mandatory. And surveillance risks not mitigated by existing restrictions. There's no current, if any, there are very limited current restrictions on how these can be used, and people are just simply signing up for it without really giving much thought to it. And here's a church right here. You can see it's about as close as we can get. That says partner in the Green Light program right there. There's cameras around the church, and these are still being fed through that same 24-hour system that I was just discussing. And there are no restrictions. There are no regulations. Not that I think that I want the government to be empowered by this, but this is the reality. Is they're selling it to people that it's being it's for their own good. It's going to help stop crime, but it's also going to contribute to surveillance around this. And this fact is being obscured from public view. The Detroit Police Department is not really discussing the facial recognition aspect of this. The report goes on to discuss how Chicago has a very similar system set up, even though Illinois is the only state to have a biometric privacy law, and in fact, one of the strongest laws that bans facial recognition. The Chicago Police Department and Chicago Transit Authority have had facial recognition capability since at least 2016. They also partnered with DataWorks Plus building a real-time screening system. And this is Detroit's real-time crime center right here, where you can see Crime Prevention Information Center, where they are just watching. They have 24-hour view of the entire city, and they can look at all the different cameras. And it is a surveillance grid that is being created and set up in the name of keeping people safe. This is the way they're selling it to people. The report says that this is actually at odds with what most people want, and they go on further to discuss pilot programs in downtown Orlando, Florida, Washington, D.C., bridges and tunnels around Manhattan, New York, and then they give some recommendations. They say that in 2016, the Center on Privacy and Technology issued a report on police use of facial recognition surveillance technology in the U.S. We recommended that state legislatures adopt common sense legislation to comprehensively regulate law enforcement facial recognition. So that was 2016. 3 years ago, they said, hey, you guys need to pass some laws, common sense laws, to help regulate this. However, since then, we have seen Baltimore police use technology to identify and arrest people protesting the death of Freddie Gray, a Brown University student falsely linked to or identified as a possible terrorist suspect involved in terror attacks in Sri Lanka, and research by the ACLU of Northern California verify that the technology still exhibits gender and race bias. And as a result, this Center for Privacy and Technology, Georgetown Law Center on Privacy and Technology, is now going on and actually saying that we believe state, local, and federal government should place a moratorium on police use of facial recognition. We also believe that jurisdictions that moved to ban the technology outright are amply justified to do so. Once bans or moratoriums are in place, communities can stop to think about whether facial recognition should be allowed in their streets and neighborhoods. The center warned 2 years ago, if deployed pervasively, real-time video surveillance threatens to create a world where once you set foot outside, the government can track your every move. And this is already becoming a reality for 3.5 million Americans in Chicago and Detroit. Now, I want to point out to you two other reports that I did. One was last year called New Orleans and Detroit Are Models for the Urban Police State, discussing this green light program and how there's the program in Detroit and there's a similar one in New Orleans. And this is, I think it's going to be sort of the normal going forward, that this is going to be something people expect or want even. And I also did a report showing how Amazon has been developing a program called Recognition, which is software, facial recognition software, that they're selling to police departments. And apparently it can be outfitted for body cameras. So not only would we have these companies partnering with cities and putting cameras up, facial recognition cameras and CCTVs and real-time crime centers all around the cities, but if these companies partner with Amazon or buy their recognition software, then they can also outfit all of their body cameras with facial recognition software. And then you would literally have cops scanning everything as they walk around, cameras seeing and scanning everything as they walk around, and it would just be unlimited. This is the direction it looks like we're headed, unless more people start to ask questions, unless maybe some local, state, or federal officials start to ask questions. I do recommend everybody checking out the Georgetown Law Center on Privacy and Technology report, America Under Watch, Face Surveillance in the United States. And that's where I'm going to leave it for now, guys. I think you should really dig into this. Hopefully you find value in this. And if you do, please do follow the Conscious Resistance Network at Minds. And you can follow our website, theconsciousresistance.com, to make sure you get all of our latest content. And yeah, I guess I'll see you guys around Minds. Please share this, like, follow, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And until next time, remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free. Peace.